Pests beware, your fields have heroes. The Pests and Predators podcast is brought to you by Field Heroes and is powered by the Western Grains Research Foundation. Learn how beneficial insects fight pests and protect your crops. Visit fieldheroes.ca today.
I'm Amber Bell, and this is Real Agriculture, here today with Katrina Stewart, who is the Director of Biotechnology and Carbon Reduction at Cvictus in Alberta here. So hi, Katrina. It's great to see you.
Hi, Amber.
Okay, so let's start off with what is Cvictus?
So Cvictus, we're a Calgary-based startup. We kind of have two arms of our business, one that's really rooted in clean energy, and another side that's rooted in biotechnology. And we're trying to tackle some of the world's largest issues with our new technologies.
So you guys caught my attention. You've been doing work with coal and animal feed. So talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to say much more about that because you're the expert here. Tell me more about this.
Sure. So it's a bit of a pathway to follow, but stick with me. So on our clean energy side of it, we have a new technology called enhanced hydrogen recovery, which allows us to process ultra deep coal in situ to produce beneficial gases that can be converted into chemical feedstocks like hydrogen or methanol or ammonia, things like that down the line, all at a really low cost and low carbon intensity. So we're able to capture all of the CO2 that does come to the surface and re-inject that back underground into the same coal that it came from, to kind of create a low cost, low carbon product, for different industries.
That's crazy. So the general environmental attitude, I feel, is often coal is bad, but you guys are actually leaving it in the ground to create this.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of outdated technologies, as well as different ways that we've been conventionally doing it that are environmentally negative, but the inherent resource we don't think is evil. So we are coming up with a new technology to utilize it in a clean manner, and that feeds into kind of our second side of our business, which is biotechnology. Which is where we take any methanol that we produce and turn that into animal feed, which is maybe kind of more along the lines of where you heard of us. So.
Right, and this is an older fermentation method, correct? So why are you bringing it back now? And tell me a bit about the history of it.
Yeah, this is a hugely successful technology. Back in the 70s and 80s, a company called ICI utilized methanol-based fermentation to create single cell protein from bacteria that basically eats methanol as its only source of carbon and energy. And this technology was approved and used in the European Union and in England at the time by farmers. It was massively produced, massively successful, but with the price of methanol becoming a bit volatile, the organization decided to close that down, and it's kind of not been revitalized. So because we can produce a low cost, low carbon methanol, really saw an avenue for us to bring this back. There's also more of a need for protein that are non-photosynthetic alternative protein in today's growing population, things like that. So we're trying to kind of bridge the gap, revitalize it with modern lenses, because biotechnology absolutely has made huge advances in the last 40 so years, and then also our own technology to make it work in modern society. So.
That's incredible. And so for animal feed, quite often people are using soy or fish meal. Now, how is this different and what sets it apart?
So those are kind of our two largest quote unquote competitors. There are other commodities that are used in agriculture for protein, and they have huge environmental footprints. So we're clear cutting the Amazon to produce soybean. And then we're shipping it all the way around the world using marine transportation diesel, right? So it does have the entire life chain, has a lot of environmental negative benefit or negative impacts. And then fish meal, which is really considered kind of the high quality cream of the crop product, also relies on pretty destructive methods to bring that to market. So by producing an industrial fermentation that's non-photosynthetic, we can allow natural ecosystems to kind of return to what they should be doing, and they're the best natural, fastest sinks for carbon removal from the atmosphere as well. So not only are we removing the negative impacts, but we're allowing diversity and ecosystems to kind of regenerate on their own. So by producing it in a small scale or a small physical footprint, and with control over all of our inputs and outputs, we can actually produce something that's a lot more environmentally friendly.
And on the animal side of it, what does that look like? Like, how is the protein different from some of the more traditional protein methods?
Sure. So this, again, this was commercialized and used, and animals ate it, and everything was happy and healthy back in the day. So we have a lot of confidence that the product we make will be integrated into the market nicely. The actual product will be like a dry powder. So the bacteria grows on methanol in this reactor into a fermentation vessel. And then we basically just dry it, and it's non-living product at the end. And it's a dry powder. It can be mixed into other feed formulations. It's high quality protein. It has very similar amino acid profile to fish meal. So we think it's actually higher quality than soybean meal. But because of the way we produce it, as well as because of the integration with our clean energy side of the business, we're able to produce it at a lower cost. So we can be cost competitive with soybean meal, but at the same quality as fish meal.
That's neat. And you guys are working with University of Alberta, so can you speak into that a little bit? What does that look like?
So absolutely. The University of Alberta has been hugely beneficial to us. The team there, our partnership, we work with the Dr. David Bressler in his lab to recreate the fermentation process. So this is, if you look in textbooks about single cell protein, the ICI protein process is one of the kind of landmark history bits. There's always a little segment about it in textbooks on alternative proteins. But there's a lot of details there that are missing. So we needed to kind of fill in the gaps and reproduce the process at a lab scale. So he's working, or the whole team is working on recreating that process. And we've been working with them since about 2019. And we've successfully done that. So we've created a media, a recipe for all of that. We know all of the right conditions for this bug to grow and make it really happy. And from there, we're trying to improve it even further. So we're trying to get a better yield for the amount of methanol that we put in. We're trying to make it run more robustly. And also we're trying out different novel techniques to make it more commercially ready. But that's all done at lab scale. And we're looking at now to scale up to produce larger amount of quantities that we can test on animals and into kind of provide to maybe market partners to see what they want and kind of give a bit more confidence in the product that we're aiming to make.
And how far along in the research are you? Like, what are you guys looking at as goals for commercialization?
So we've already kind of reached one of our main goals, which was reproduce what was successfully done by ICI. So we have a process that produces protein at the same rate and quality as what was historically done. So that was a big major tick because it means that we can go ahead with a lot of our economic projections for our company and gives us confidence that scaling up and everything like that will be successful. Some of our next major milestones is to do it at a larger scale. So this is bench scale right now. These are kind of 5-liter, 2-liter working volume reactors that are all done, and we're producing grams of this stuff at a time. We need to be producing kilograms of this at a time and looking at larger reactors, so 100 liters, 1,000-liter reactors, to be able to have both the data for this scale up, but also more quantity of product that we can start getting into animal feed trials, which is kind of the next step and the next project. And we have additional partners at the University of Alberta helping us with that.
Well, that's fascinating research. I want to thank you so much for joining me. That was Katrina Stewart on Real Agriculture.